Barbershop Conversations. Hit the subscribe and the like button today.
Barbershop Conversation, guys. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. So I just saw an interview with Steven from KO Artists, and he interviewed Alysha De Valle from ABC. And I hate prefacing stuff, but I will. I believe she's from Whittier. I believe I've spoken with her maybe once or twice in my lifetime. I believe I've actually partied with her in Uptown before, but I've never really had an intense conversation with her. Just in passing, nothing really serious. And he interviewed her, and she alluded to the fact that she doesn't like Floyd Mayweather because he's evil and not evil. I'm paraphrasing what she says. Because he brings people down to bring him up. And my question to you is, my question to the boxing audience, how can you dislike Floyd Mayweather and like Oscar De La Hoya? Doesn't make sense. Because if you're talking about character, if you're talking about what you've accomplished, and obviously you're talking about wins and losses and money, there's simply no comparison. But if you go tit for tat, let's digress from most recent to the distant past. Oscar De La Hoya got into a car drunk and drove off in Pasadena after leaving a pub or a bar, whatever you want to call it, and willingly got in the car and drove off. 2, she obviously hasn't heard the 200 interviews that Oscar De La Hoya has done in regards to Floyd Mayweather about putting Floyd Mayweather down to bring him up. And she obviously hasn't heard about, well, she should have, about the negative emails that Oscar De La Hoya intentionally did to discredit Al Heyman, which, if he's the leader, they all follow. If he's in charge of Golden Boy and Ring TV, they've all followed his lead. So obviously she hasn't got introduced to the character of Oscar De La Hoya. And this is the problem that I have when brown pride overshadows common sense. You know, I'm going to just say this. If a black man says he's going for Floyd Mayweather because he's black, how could you? You're a racist. You make no sense. If Alysha De Valle says, I support my Mexican fighters, I have no choice but to support Oscar De La Hoya, it's acceptable. And more importantly, it's appreciated. And I hate when people spew lack of common sense, lack of information to spill out a message. I mean, I wouldn't say Floyd is the most likable guy, the things that he do, you know. But he's the best fighter of our era, the richest fighter of our era, and he's never been guilty of a crime. No, excuse me, forgive me, because the semantics of that statement may make you guys may jump out at me. There's never been any evidence to substantiate the claim that he did what he did. Whereas Oscar, cocaine binge, alcohol binge, drunk driving, coerced a plan to get rid of Al Heyman because he was black. So that bothers me to some degree, that someone who has that platform would say such a thing when she's praising a man that got into a car drunk, willingly drove a car drunk a week ago. That's disgusting. Floyd Mayweather, you talk about character, Floyd Mayweather has no tattoos, never drank, never smoked. The worst thing he's ever put in his body was a McDonald's Big Mac. because he loves McDonald's. He loves junk food. That's the worst thing he's ever put in his body. So um, I commend her on her boxing aptitude. I commend her on her ability to carry a boxing conversation. But where I discredit her is overvaluing Oscar De La Hoya and devaluing Floyd Mayweather. It's just plain and simple. How can you need to judge a man on his merit? And I've disagreed with Floyd Mayweather. I've disagreed with Oscar De La Hoya. But when you do things because of brown pride, it discredits everything you've said prior to that. And the same thing she says about Floyd Mayweather can be 3 or 4 times degree worse on Oscar De La Hoya. The motherfucker willingly got into a car, drunk, and drove off. That's one of the most selfish crimes you can ever inflict upon yourself and someone else. And that's just what I feel, and that's what I believe. And, we're all thankful that he was pulled over because we don't know what may have happened. Maybe he runs into a pole. Maybe he rear-ends someone, you know. Thank God for the wide streets in Pasadena. Most of them streets are really wide. But, you know, Floyd Mayweather did it the right way in terms of his body, in terms of protecting himself. You may get on him. You may say he's a womanizer. You may say he played. Some people say he played the game the wrong way to win He won the wrong way. Kid is 49-0, but it bothers me, man, that uh, she would say such a thing about Floyd Mayweather when 7 days ago, no, Thursday, 9 days ago, Oscar De La Hoya was being arrested for a DUI. 9 days ago. 10 days ago, it was proven that Al Heyman was Golden Boy and Ring TV was coercing a plan to destroy Al Heyman because he's black. We have substantial evidence to prove that claim, and the judge dismissed the case. We have substantial evidence, circumstantial evidence to prove that Oscar De La Hoya couldn't even stand trial in his own case because he's not a credible witness. So let me ask you something, Alysha De Valle. Would you hate Floyd Mayweather more if he was pulled over, drunk, and failed a sobriety test? Would you hate him even more? Would you hate him even more if one of Oscar De La Hoya's correspondents said the word nigga and called a black man a black Hitler? Would you hate him even more? Or would you hate him even more since you're a woman? Infidelity, being married and then cheating on his wife? Or does brown pride cloud your judgment? I mean, because if you flip it on the other side, Floyd Mayweather could never be accused of adultery because he's open and honest about what he wants in life and the expectations he has with his woman. Floyd Mayweather would never get pulled over for a DUI because he doesn't drink, smoke, or put anything that pertains to some form of drugs in his body. So it that bothers me. When I was listening to her interview, I appreciate how eloquent she was, but I didn't like the fact that brown pride clouded her judgment as it pertained to Floyd Mayweather, and it elevated Oscar De La Hoya and put him on a pedestal. He's not worthy of being on a pedestal. If a man with 46 chromosomes gets into a car drunk and drives off, He's not worthy of being put on a pedestal. That is a selfish act. So, barbershop conversations, feel free to hit the subscribe button. And I would never, ever in my life cloud my judgment because a man is black. I wouldn't do it. I would presume innocence before guilty because of the system that we were born into. But if a man is guilty, a man is guilty. And that's just what I believe. So, barbershop conversations, feel free to hit the subscribe button. And Alysha De Valle, you should never compromise your character because of brown pride. You should never compromise your character because of social doctrine. Base it off of facts. Base it off of facts. I didn't see a ring on your hand, so I don't know if you're married. But imagine if your husband cheated on you and it was public information. Well, if you do have a husband, if he cheats on you, it will be public information because you're pretty famous here in LA. But it just bothers me. And I've had this conversation many a times with people because I train in a Mexican gym and we have conversations like this all the time. I have no problem saying I'm going for the black fighter when he's fighting a Latin guy, and they have no problem telling me that they're going for the Mexican guy when he's fighting a black guy. But I would never devalue the Mexican guy in terms of his character when I know the guy he's up against has worse character. Miss Del Valle, just Google Oscar De La Hoya's interviews as it relates to Floyd Mayweather and listen how he speaks of him. Oscar De La Hoya was quoted last year this time saying there's no racism in boxing, and yet a correspondent from Golden Boy by way of Ring TV called Al Heyman a black Hitler and a nigger and a scumbag. Oscar De La Hoya and his PR team created a plan to infiltrate Al Heyman and PBC and bring it down intentionally because he's black. And you ask why? Why do I believe because he's black? Because of the language. Simple. Nate Campbell, a world champion, is a primary source to prove these claims. They didn't do it to Bob Arum. They didn't do it to the Duvas. They didn't do it to Tom Loeffler. But they did it to Al Heyman. So I'm gone. Beautiful woman with a poor choice of judging character. So barbershop conversation. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. And talk to you guys soon. Peace.